This Flash game series blew up and made millions of dollars along the way. A Flash game about monkeys popping balloons. I'm not kidding. That's the base premise and it's incredible. They've managed to create their own little monkey balloon empire. The Bloons games didn't start with the tower defense game, but that is the one that inflated the brand to a household name. There's 6 main titles to the Bloons TD series and a ton of spin-offs and side projects. Today, we're going to focus on the 6 main titles and talk about what it is that made these games blow up the way that they did. The first game in the series is as basic as they come. There's only one map, there's only one difficulty. The gameplay loop is this. Balloons, called Bloons in the game, will spawn at one end of the map and they will follow a line along the path and try to exit on the other side. Your goal is to stop them each round for 50 rounds, and to stop them, you will employ a variety of monkeys and darts. You start the round with 650 units of money, 40 lives, and each time you pop a balloon, you will get 1 unit of money. Each time a balloon escapes the end of the map, you will lose at least 1 life. And we'll go over that in more detail in a moment. For now, let's talk about the towers first. These are your towers. There's only 5 different ones to choose from. If you place a tower and you decide you don't want the tower there for whatever reason you may have, you can sell it and get back 80% of what you spent on it, including upgrades. Starting with the dart tower, which is a single monkey that throws 1 dart at its base level. The dart can pop 1 balloon at a time. The game lists the speed as fast, and the upgrades for this tower will make it so you can pop multiple balloons at a time and give it a longer range. I don't usually get a lot of these towers, but once you upgrade them a bit, they're not terrible, I guess. This is the tack tower, and unlike the dart tower, this one doesn't rotate to target balloons. Instead, it shoots out tacks in a circle around it, shooting out 8 tacks at a time. It's pretty slow, however, with upgrades you can make it shoot faster and further. The tacks can only pop 1 balloon each, but since it shoots 8 tacks at a time, in a perfect world you could pop 8 balloons with each attack. But there aren't any spots on this map that would allow that. The most you could get out of the tack tower is using 7 out of the 8 tacks. These towers are best put in a spot where the path will wrap around it, and corners, essentially anywhere where the path will run along multiple sides of the tower. I want to talk about the bomb tower next. It isn't super fast, but it makes up for it with how strong it is, and the explosions are devastating to the balloons, and it will pop multiple balloons at a time. It could be upgraded to have more range and bigger bombs to deal even more damage. I usually put these near the beginning of the map so they can deal damage to the harder colors early on, leaving the easier colors to the darts and tacks. The next tower is the ice tower. It's very slow and it doesn't actually pop any balloons. Instead, it will periodically freeze any that are within range for a short period of time. This can be useful during the later stages where your towers are being overwhelmed by the number of balloons there are. They could be upgraded to increase their radius and the amount of time they freeze balloons for. When a balloon is frozen, it can no longer be damaged by darts or tacks, until it thaws out, of course. While it's frozen, it can only be damaged by explosives. The final tower for the first game is the Super Monkey. It costs a whopping 4,000 units of money, and it shoots darts at a hypersonic speed. The only upgrade you can get for it in this game would be the Epic Range upgrade, and I like to place these somewhere in between the center of the map and the beginning of the path. Okay, so we talked about the towers, now let's talk about the enemies. The balloons, or as they're called in the series, Bloons, and let's talk about the way they behave. They go beyond just moving along the path. The strength of the balloons are dependent on the color they are. There's 6 different colors in the first game, and the game will slowly introduce them to you rather than all at once or in groups. Each color will have inside of it the previous color because they operate in layers. And it works this way with all colors from top down, with the exception of white and black. So for example, a yellow balloon has inside of it a green one, and inside the green balloon is a blue one. And inside the blue balloon is a red, which is the weakest balloon with no other layers inside of it. And starting with the 4th game, they started referring to this system as RBE, which stands for Red Balloon Equivalent, which is just however many pops it will take to completely defeat the balloon. For example, the yellow balloon will have an RBE of 4 because it will take 1 pop to remove the yellow layer, a 2nd pop to remove the green layer, a 3rd pop to remove the blue layer, and a 4th pop to destroy the red and final layer. I'll be using the term RBE throughout the rest of the video. The black and white balloons, as I mentioned, operate a little differently. Each of these two balloons are on the same tier, and inside of these colors are 2 yellow balloons. So when you pop a white balloon, 2 yellow balloons will take its place, meaning that the RBE of a white or black balloon is 9. Their RBE is also the number of lives you will lose if the balloon makes it through. In addition to their layers, each balloon color up the ladder will move faster than the one before it, usually, with some exceptions, stopping at yellow, which is the fastest color for now. And the black balloons are immune to explosions, while the white balloons are immune to freezing. Otherwise, each color can be damaged by all damage types. And that's the first game. Let's go over the second game. The second installment, Bloons Tower Defense 2, brings on a number of new changes, but the first thing you'll notice is that you now have 3 difficulties to choose from: easy, medium, and hard, with each difficulty having a different map. The map's difficulties can be separated by the length of them, but also as well as the number of paths that they have, with the hard having more than one path that the balloons will come down. Alongside the map changes, each difficulty changes the number of lives you get and the cost of the towers. The game includes all the towers from the first game, and it introduces a new tower, plus some upgrades, new balloon types, and it introduces road items to the game. The new tower is the boomerang thrower. The boomerang by default can pop 2 balloons per throw. However, this can be upgraded to attack more. Another upgrade you could buy for it is the ability to attack frozen balloons. The Super Monkey gets a new upgrade as well. Super Monkeys now have the ability to unlock laser vision. Laser vision, aside from looking awesome, has some essential benefits to the Super Monkey. First, it will give it +1 to pierce, meaning that each instance of laser can now pop 2 balloons instead of 1 before the instance expires. And it will change the damage type from sharp to shatter, which essentially means that the Super Monkeys can now target and hurt frozen balloons. This will make using an ice tower a little more viable than the first game, but still not enough for me to want to use them. And the road items are super useful, but can also hurt you in the long run if you're not careful. However, when the round is over, whatever road items you have placed will be erased and not carry over to the next round. There's the monkey glue and the spikes. The glue is something you place to slow the balloons down. A single glob or use of glue can affect up to 20 balloons before it's used up. This could be a game changer in the later rounds because it will allow your towers to deal a lot more damage to the affected balloons because they'll stay within range of the tower for longer. And the road spikes are a great last-ditch effort. If a balloon slips past all your towers, you could place some spikes ahead of it and the spikes will take care of it. Each set of road spikes has 10 tacks, so it can pop 10 balloons before it's done. This is the one I had in mind when I said it can hurt you in the long run if you're not careful. These cost between 25 to 30 each to place down. Placing down too many of these can really hold you back from building new towers. So if it's just 1 or 2 balloons that slipped by, it might be in your best interest to just let them go rather than place spikes. Those 30 units of money can be much better spent on a new tower rather than a temporary attempt to save 1 or 2 of your lives. This game features all the same balloons with the same rules as the first game, and it adds some new balloons with new functionality as well. The first one is the lead balloon. This balloon can only be damaged by the bomb tower, which has been renamed to cannon in this installment, and this is because it is immune to the sharp damage type. So darts, tacks, and road spikes won't do anything to the lead balloon. The balloon is pretty slow though, and it has an RBE of 19. And the other new balloon is the rainbow balloon. It's the second fastest balloon in the game, right behind yellow, and inside the rainbow balloon, you'll find 2 black balloons and 2 white balloons, giving it an RBE of 37. And that's the second game. Let's go over the third game. The third installment, Bloons Tower Defense 3, came with a significant amount of changes. This game is way more advanced than the first 2. The first noticeable change is the option to pick from 8 different maps, and after you pick the map, you could choose between one of the 3 difficulties, rather than the difficulty being tied to a specific map like it was in the previous game. And the second thing you're likely to notice is the big leap in graphical quality. This game looks considerably better than the first 2, and like the second game, this installment adds more to the game as well. There's new tower types, road items, utilities, and a mystery that is yet to be unlocked. The first new tower is the Spikopalt. It has a damage of 1 with 6 pierce, which means it will pop through 1 layer of a balloon, but can hit 6 different balloons if lined up properly. It can be upgraded to shoot further, faster, and have a bigger spike ball. The other new tower is the Utility Tower, and this is called the Monkey Beacon. This tower is designed to support other towers in its radius, but doesn't actually attack balloons. It can be upgraded to increase its radius, allowing it to support more towers, and it can be upgraded to unlock the Monkey Storm Beacon, which is the mystery ability. Basically, what happens is you activate an ability and a team of super monkeys will come flying in to clear the map of most of the balloons currently on screen. Some new upgrades that are introduced in this installment can be found on the tack shooter and the cannon. The tack shooter can be upgraded to a blade shooter, changing its ammo type from tacks to what appears to be saw blades. The blades pop through 2 balloons at a time instead of 1, and the saw blades shoot faster and has a lot less blind spots than the original tack shooter does. The cannon can be upgraded to a missile launcher, and the missile launcher has a higher rate of attack, more popping power, greater radius, and the projectiles move faster as well. This installment introduces the next road item to the series, and that is the pineapple. The pineapple can be placed onto the track at the cost of 20 to 25 units of money, depending on the difficulty. And the way it works is that once placed, the pineapple will have a timer countdown from 3, and after the timer runs out, the pineapple will explode. So essentially, pineapples are little timed bombs, useful against lead balloons, but not black balloons. The first new balloon type is the brown balloon. Later, it'll be renamed to ceramic balloon. The balloon is immune to being frozen and has an interesting first layer. The ceramic balloon has 9 health, meaning it'll take 9 darts to get past the first layer. And once you do, it will release 2 rainbow balloons. This will give the ceramic balloon an RBE of 83. The other new balloon is the terrifying MOAB, commonly thought to stand for Mother of All Balloons, but really it means massive ornery air blimp. And like the brown balloon, this blimp requires a number of hits to break through the first layer. However, the number of hits is significantly more, requiring 131 hits to break through. And once you've broken through, it leaves behind 4 brown or ceramic balloons, giving the MOAB an RBE of 463. My goodness. Aside from new or improved mechanics on the towers and the balloons, the game also introduces new quality of life features. First, each tower has a counter that keeps track of how many pops it has, and that might not sound very useful, but I find it to be extremely helpful, and I couldn't wait for the feature to show up. I use this information to determine if the tower I placed is providing any value to the team, so to speak. If it's not getting the pops I feel like it should be, then I'll sell the tower and put it somewhere else, or put a different tower in its place. Another new feature is the targeting system. This is another essential feature that I use strategically on almost all of my towers. The target system eventually gets more advanced, but for now you can choose to target the first or last balloon inside the tower's radius. So before this, the towers would all essentially attempt to dogpile on the first in line. Now you can set it so some of your towers are targeting more balloons at a single time than they were before. And the final change I noticed was the ability to stop placing a tower. In the first 2 games, if you clicked on a tower to place it down but changed your mind, there was no easy way to deselect the tower without selecting a different tower or road item, but in this installment, now there's a section you can click on to deselect the currently selected tower. Small addition, but necessary. And that's the 3rd game. Let's go over the 4th game. Bloons TD4 is so vastly different from the first 3 games, it's incredible. There's so many more new towers and balloons and changes to the game that it feels like a different experience entirely. The first thing you might notice is that at first you only have 1 tower to choose from. That's because now you have to unlock the towers and upgrades with the experience that you gain from playing the game. The first new tower that we're going to talk about is the mortar. The mortar works differently than the other towers because instead of putting it by the track so it can attack balloons within range, you can place it anywhere on the map. Then you select another section anywhere else on the map and it will launch explosives at that targeted area, and you can upgrade it to pop through 2 layers of balloon instead of the usual 1. The next new tower is the glue gunner. So we talked about the monkey glue road item from an earlier game. Well, this tower shoots that same type of glue. At first, the tower will only target one balloon at a time, making it kind of useless in the beginning. However, if you upgrade it a few times, you can make it so the glue lasts longer, and so the glue soaks through all layers of the balloon instead of just the originally targeted layer. You can also upgrade the glue to become corrosive, which will dissolve a layer of the balloon every 2 seconds, and you can give the new tower an area of effect, hitting multiple balloons with each attack. So without upgrades, the tower's pretty useless if you ask me, but after you upgrade it, it seems to be pretty useful. The next tower, Monkey Ace, is incredibly effective, with or without upgrades. This tower is a plane that can be placed anywhere, and it will fly around the map in a figure 8, periodically shooting out a wave of darts in the process. The darts have an incredible range on top of the fact that it's a moving plane covering lots of ground. You can upgrade it to shoot faster and to also drop pineapple bombs onto the map in regular intervals. You can upgrade it to detect camo balloons, which is a new balloon type that we'll talk about in a moment. I personally love this tower. Anytime I use it and keep track of its progress with the pop counter, I'm always surprised by how big the number is. The next tower is the Monkey Buccaneer. This is a pirate ship that can only be placed on water sections of the map, and it has a single long-range heavy dart attack. It can be upgraded to increase its range, double its attack speed, detect camo balloons, and to include a volley of deadly sharpened grapes to each attack. I don't really use this tower that often. Maybe I'm missing out, but I find that there's way better towers to purchase instead of this one. The next tower is the Monkey Apprentice, which is basically a wizard. It can be upgraded to pop multiple balloons at once, shoot fireballs, summon whirlwinds, which will blow away balloons from the exit. The next tower is the Banana Farm. This is another utility tower that doesn't actually attack balloons. This one will generate money each round and can be upgraded to generate even more money. Getting out one of these early will allow you to get a second one out early, maybe even a third one, and eventually you'll have the best upgrades on the best towers. I try to beat the earlier rounds with as little as possible so I can buy this as soon as possible. The next tower is the Dartling gun, which is a monkey armed with a big, fast firing Gatling gun type of weapon. This is another tower with a unique way of attacking. You can place this tower anywhere on the map, and it will target and shoot at balloons wherever your mouse is pointing. I really like this tower in the pre-Super Monkey phase, especially if you get a few of them. If you can get enough of them, they'll be useful all the way to the end of the game. They can be upgraded to reduce the spread, pop 3 balloons at once, shoot faster, and eventually they can be upgraded to shoot lasers instead of darts, which will cause a lot more damage. The final new tower is the Spike Factory. This is another one of my absolute favorites. This tower automatically drops packs of spikes onto the ground in a selected area. It drops them from the start of the round, and it continues to drop them until the end of the round. I like to put a couple at the end of the map. That way it's like a last line of defense for any balloons that get away. The real strength behind this tower is that it's always in operation. Most of the other towers need to have balloons within range to attack, and these don't. They just continuously pile up spikes on the road, which do get cleared at the end of every round. They can be upgraded to produce bigger piles and to produce them faster. You can also upgrade the spikes to white hot spikes, which will pop frozen and lead balloons. And some of the old towers have new upgrades. Starting with the tack shooter, the new upgrade is Ring of Fire, which replaces the original ammo with flamethrowers, and the flames can pop anything. These are nuts and probably my #1 favorite non-Super Monkey tower. The boomerang thrower can be upgraded to turn its boomerang into glaives, which can cut through 12 balloons at once, and the other upgrade turns them into lightsabers, which can slice through any and everything up to 70 balloons at once. The bomb tower can be upgraded to a MOAB Mauler, which deals 10 times its damage to MOABs and BFBs, the latter of which is one we haven't discussed yet. The ice tower can be upgraded with permafrost, which slows balloons even after they've thawed out, and snap freeze, which freezes so violently that balloons pop before they freeze. And finally, they can be upgraded with Arctic Wind, which will slow down anything that comes within range of the tower by 66%. The Monkey Beacon can be upgraded to allow all towers within its radius to target camo balloons, which is so incredibly useful. A super monkey that can target camo balloons is ultra dangerous. Speaking of super monkey, these get a couple of crazy upgrades as well. One is the plasma vision, which shoots twice as fast as the laser vision and vaporizes everything it touches. And the other upgrade is called Sun God. The Sun God shoots a bit faster but splits into 3 beams, and the Sun God is truly a sight to behold. Now let's talk about the balloons. One of the new balloons is the pink balloon. It's now bigger and faster than the yellow balloon, which was previously the fastest balloon, and the pink balloon has a yellow balloon inside and has an RBE of 5. And I've mentioned this one several times now, but the new balloon is the camo balloon. The camo balloon can't be targeted by towers unless they have camo detection, which, as I mentioned, with some of the towers is an option in several upgrade paths. However, road spikes don't need camo detection. If this balloon passes over spikes, it will pop. The camo balloon has 2 pink balloons inside, giving it an RBE of 11. The next new balloon is the zebra balloon. This is a combination of the black and the white balloons, making it immune to both freezing and explosions, and it contains both a black and white balloon inside, giving it an RBE of 28. The final new balloon introduced in this installment is a behemoth of a blimp. It's called the BFB, and I know what you're thinking. You're thinking that stands for Big Effing Balloon. At least I did. But apparently it means Brutal Floating Behemoth. This is an even bigger blimp than the MOAB. It takes a massive 700 hits to pop the first layer. It's immune to freezing and glue, so there's no slowing it down. It has 4 MOABs inside, giving this monstrosity an RBE of 3,148. And that's all of the new balloons that are introduced in the game. There's some other features as well that some work and some don't anymore. The game had a premium currency in its heyday, making it similar to the average mobile game by today's standards. Notably, this installment has 2 new game modes. A sandbox mode where you start with 1,000,000 units of money and 100,000 lives, and you get to curate which balloons come out and that sort of thing. Basically exactly what you would expect from a sandbox mode. And the other mode is Apocalypse. This is basically like playing a game on medium difficulty, except there are no breaks in between rounds. The rounds still exist, they are just started automatically. So according to the wiki, this distinction is important because that means that banana farms will still generate money at the end of each round. But on the flip side of that, any unused glue or spikes will not be erased and will continue on. There are challenges to complete, which are basically just like doing bounties, so to speak. Complete X level on X difficulty using only X towers and that sort of thing. And just like the last game, this installment introduces even more features and quality of life improvements. The first thing I noticed was that now you can save the game, which is great. You can step away, come back, save the game, play it the next day, whatever you want. It's still a really great feature that they added. And this game adds on to the targeting system that was introduced in the last game as well. Now you can set the tower to target first, last, weak, or strong. I already talked about first and last, so the way I utilize the weak and strong targeting options are like this. I'll take my bomb towers and missile launchers and have them target strong. That way they can get the higher color balloons knocked down a few layers. I would assign the basic dart monkey to weak, so it can work hand in hand with the explosive towers that target the strong. And the last feature I think I should mention is that now you have the ability to fast forward the round, which will speed the game up 2 times in this installment. You don't realize how much you appreciate this feature until you play one of the earlier games without the option. And that's the 4th game. Let's go over the 5th game. The 5th game of the series is called Bloons TD5. As different as the 4th game was from the 3rd game, this game is even more different than the 4th, if that makes any sense. The main menu has been replaced by what feels like a player's hub area rather than a menu. From here, you can look at the medals you earn. You can see how much of the premium currency you have. There are quests that you can complete, which will reward you with monkey money and free one-time use towers to use in games. There's a building where you can go and hire special agents, which I'll talk more about in a moment. There's a leaderboard that you can still pull up and view, but everything says that it's 800 days old, so I think that might be deactivated as well. I'm aware that there's a Steam version of the game, but I don't feel that buying the Steam version for these side features when the Flash version is free is worth the money. According to the wiki, the game has stopped getting updates in 2018, and as of 2022, certain online features such as co-op mode, daily challenges, and special missions have all been discontinued. There are 71 tracks in this installment, and they're all labeled by their difficulty of either beginner, intermediate, advanced, Advanced, Expert, and Extreme. You have to unlock towers as you play, just as you did in the last game, and from the main hub you can view all the towers and upgrades that you've unlocked so far. This game also brings with it a lot of special abilities that you can cast in games. For example, one of the towers can be upgraded to have a supply drop ability, and when you cast the ability, a crate full of money will drop for you. There's a plot of land available where you can build what's called specialty buildings, and what these will do is buff a tower type of your choosing at the cost of making another tower and its upgrades 5% more expensive. So an example specialty building would be the TAC Research Center, and this will reduce the cost of the TAC tower and its upgrades by 5%, increase its attack speed by 10%. Every shot from the tower has +1 pierce, and every second shot has even extra pierce. But this will increase the bomb tower and its upgrades by 5%. In my personal opinion, those benefits super outweigh the negative of paying an extra 5% on the bomb tower without question. Every time you win a game, you are rewarded with monkey money, and the amount depends on the difficulty of the game. You can use monkey money to buy special agents, unlock the extreme difficulty maps, the specialty buildings I mentioned already, and a fast track mode. The fast track mode, once unlocked, you can start a game on round 26 with 5 grand to spend on towers. You could do this mode on any map except for extreme maps. Special agents are like single-use modifiers that you can apply during games. An example of one is the Bloons TD device, which according to the wiki is the apex of monkey tech. This will give you temporary control of their orbital strike satellite, whose beams destroy all balloons and does big damage to MOAB class balloons. Another one is the portable lake. This agent will allow you to place a portable lake on land so you can place a water tower inside. There's also new towers and upgrades in balloons in this game. I should mention that upgrades work entirely different in this game. Now there are 2 upgrade paths that each tower has with 4 options in each path. You can unlock the first 2 upgrades from each path, but as soon as you upgrade the third one on either path, it will lock you out of any further upgrades in the other path. So when making upgrades to your tower, bear in mind what you want in the long run from that tower. The first new tower is the Sniper Monkey. You can place this sniper anywhere on the map and it can target balloons anywhere else on the map. By default, it pops 2 layers of balloons with each attack, which is the first tower that can do that without any upgrades, but it can be upgraded to eventually go through a staggering 18 layers of balloon. And when converting that damage to a MOAB class balloon, it will deal 18 damage per shot to that first layer. The next new tower is the Ninja Monkey. This tower will target balloons and attack them with shurikens, and the uniqueness to this tower is that it can see camo balloons by default. You can upgrade it to increase the attack speed and attack radius. You can also upgrade the shurikens to automatically go after balloons, kind of like a homing system. The last new tower is the Monkey Sub. This tower's uniqueness is that by default, its darts will home in on balloons. It can be upgraded to do a lot of different things with camo balloons, one of the things being the ability to make them be revealed permanently. Normally I would go over the new upgrades. However, every single tower has several new upgrades because of the new upgrade path system, and that would basically require its own video. So instead of doing that, I'll just say this. Each of the existing towers now have a final upgrade that will unlock an activated ability for you to use, with the exception of the banana farm. And with that out of the way, let's talk about the new balloons introduced in the 5th game. So I'll start with the blimp called ZOMG, which of course isn't named what you think it would be, and it actually stands for Zeppelin of Mighty Gargantuanness. This thing is incredible. It's the 2nd strongest non-boss balloon in the entire series, and when you break through the first layer of a whopping 4,000 health, it will reveal 4 BFBs, which in case you forgot is the big bad balloon from the last game. This monster has an RBE of 16,656. The other new balloon type is the regen or regrowth balloon. These balloons are shaped like hearts and will regrow back to its starting layer over time if you don't destroy it completely. For example, if it were a yellow regrowth balloon and you pop the first layer to reveal a green one, it will eventually regenerate back up to yellow if it isn't destroyed completely. You can't really quantify an RBE score on this one since it technically could have an infinite number. And apparently the camo balloon has made some changes in this installment, which I didn't even realize until doing this research. But as of the 5th game, the camo balloon can come in the form of any other balloon up to ceramic. And the last thing I'll say about Bloons TD5 is that this is the final game in the series to be released as a Flash game. The next and final game is Bloons TD6, which was released as a full title on different platforms that you have to purchase. And that's the 5th game. Let's go over the 6th and final game. It's amazing how they can consistently make the next game of the series this different and still feel like a Bloons game. I know that I've said it before with some of the previous games, but this has never been more true than it is for Bloons TD6. Officially released as a mobile game before eventually coming to PC, Bloons TD6 manages to improve essentially every system and feature from the previous titles, while adding new ones as well. The very first thing you'll notice in a game is that the game now has 3D graphics, which almost threw me off at first, but after a couple waves it just felt normal. There's a tutorial now, which is great for anyone just now getting into the series, which might be a lot of people since it's just being released as a full non-Flash title. The tutorial taught me about the new tower types called heroes, and it taught me about some of the new map challenges. For example, the tutorial takes place on a map with a windmill near the beginning of the track. When you place a tower, you'll notice that the windmill will block the line of sight of the towers placed around it, so you'll have to be mindful of what you put around that spot. Another thing I noticed was that this game, at the time of making this video at least, is running some kind of Mr. Beast promotion, and I unlocked a handful of one-time use towers and abilities when I first loaded the game. And alongside that, it looks like there's a section of the game where you can put in a creator code, telling me that Bloons works with creators, which I can appreciate. As a content creator myself, the main menu is very much like a player's hub, just like the last one, only more condensed and refined. There's a daily login reward like most mobile games have, and a section to do a deep dive on every feature the game has. For example, you can view all of the towers and upgrades, the heroes, powers, trophies, daily challenges, events, and there's a new section called Knowledge. Knowledge is essentially a perk tree divided up by the tower class type, as well as a section for power. Once you reach level 30, you'll start to earn knowledge points when you level up. These are perks that permanently change the way towers and upgrades work. Upon reaching level 30, I was given 5 knowledge points to spend, and out of the 5 perks I unlocked, my favorite is Elite Military Training. It's the first perk in that specific tree, but it gives all military monkeys a one-time plus 1000 XP boost and makes them permanently earn XP 5% faster. Another small change I noticed was some idle animations on the towers, which isn't much, but it does make the monkey towers feel like living beings instead of just monkey-shaped guns. And before we get into the new towers and enemies, I want to talk about the upgrades. Like the last game, there are upgrade paths. However, this time there's 3 instead of 2. You need to earn XP to unlock the upgrade, but to apply the upgrade, you need to spend cash. And you can only use 2 out of the 3 paths on any one tower. And like the last game, you can apply 2 upgrades from each path, but as soon as you apply a 3rd upgrade down one path, it will lock the other path. The game has introduced some really cool towers and heroes, and there's way too many heroes to talk about each one, so I'll just talk about how they work, how they're different from towers. And the first hero you get is Quincy, and he's introduced in the tutorial. Quincy is an archer with what looks like a compound bow. Quincy's arrows will hit a first target and then bounce to additional targets, and the number of arrows and targets depends on what level he is. Instead of earning XP and applying upgrades like you would a regular tower, heroes instead level up and unlock their own upgrades along the way, essentially making them self-managed. Heroes also can have different skins applied to them, and they can also get a quest that they can do. The quest was basically go to this map and defeat the Bloons. The game has split up towers into classes. I mentioned them briefly when I talked about the knowledge points, but instead of diving too deep into each new tower, I'll talk about the tower class system overall. The towers have been split up into primary, military, magic, and support. Primary consists of Dart Monkey, Boomerang Monkey, Tack Shooter, Bomb Shooter, Ice Monkey, and Glue Gunner. Military consists of the Sniper Monkey, Monkey Sub, Monkey Buccaneer, Monkey Ace, Mortar Monkey, Dartling Gunner, and the new Heli Pilot. The Heli Pilot might be my new favorite. This is an attack helicopter piloted by a monkey, and this can be set up to follow the balloons around the track and is incredibly effective. Magic consists of Wizard Monkey, formerly known as Monkey Apprentice, Super Monkey, Ninja Monkey, and the new Tower Alchemist, and the new Tower Druid. The Alchemist will attack balloons with acid and it'll brew potions. The potions are temporary buffs that will be applied to other towers, and the Druid will throw thorns at balloons in a wide spread. With upgrades, the Druid will call down elements to attack balloons like thunder and lightning. The support towers are Banana Farm, Spike Factory, Monkey Village, the new Engineer Monkey, and the new Beast Handler. The Engineer Monkey shoots balloons with a nail gun and can create sentry turrets, and the Beast Handler will shoot energy at the balloons. Alongside that, they can summon beasts like dinosaurs and birds. If you have multiple beast handlers, they could team up and create a single stronger beast instead of several weaker beasts. Bloons TD6 really stepped it up in the enemy department. It has all the same normal balloons from the previous games, from red all the way up to ceramic. It added the purple balloon, which is immune to energy, plasma, and fire. It's fairly quick with 2 pink balloons inside, but it only has an RBE of 11. It added 2 new MOAB class balloons as well, the DDT, which stands for Dark Dirigible Titan. The DDT is a complicated balloon. It's very fast, has different immunities depending on which platform you're playing the game on. When popped, it leaves behind 4 camo regrowth ceramic balloons, giving it an RBE of 816, which might seem low, but the speed and immunities make up for the low RBE. The next MOAB class balloon is the BAD, which stands for Big Airship of Doom. The BAD is immune to anything that slows balloons down, like glue or being frozen. When you pop the initial layer of this balloon, it will reveal 2 ZOMGs and 3 DDTs, giving this an RBE of 55,760, which is insane to think about. The game also added a new balloon property. For example, camo and regrowth are balloon properties. The new one is fortified, which just increases the balloon's health, and there is such a thing as a fortified camo regrowth balloon. And then of course there's the boss balloons. Now there's too many bosses to talk about all of them, much like the heroes, so I'll just talk about the boss that I fought. A boss can be fought during a boss event, which is accessed from the event menu rather than a regular game. Each boss has an elite variant, which is just a much stronger version, and these events can be played with other players online. The RBE can't really be quantified to a single number as there's a lot of stages and variables at play. Just know that these are incredibly difficult. So the boss I faced is Bloonarius the Inflator. According to the wiki, Bloonarius is a swamp-dwelling MOAB class balloon with massive health, slow speed, and the ability to spawn clusters of sludgy Bloonarius minions. The boss comes down the path very slowly, and rounds no longer have breaks between them, they just keep flowing. Each boss has 5 tiers before it is defeated, and at the change of each tier is a special devastating skull wave. No matter what I did, I could not survive the first skull wave. Maybe you'll have better luck than I did, I don't know. The boss events are a really great way to challenge new and longtime players of the series, but that's it for now folks. Until next time, farewell.